I'm a relatively new hire, been on board with Demandware for about 9 months now. Prior to that, I refer to myself as a reformed retailer. So I've been retail side for sort of 15 years in a variety of guises: apparel, jewellery, airlines, all sorts of things, but selling online. The area of the business that I head up for Demandware, so for those that aren't familiar, Demandware is an enterprise cloud commerce platform. So we allow customers, we allow businesses, brands to sell digitally, sell online, and do that at significant scale. So we have billions and billions and billions of dollars that go through the platform. All of our customers are on a versionless cloud. So basically, without speaking too much, what that means is that customers are able to innovate, and really they innovate and differentiate based on their brand rather than the technology. So we take care of the technology and allow them to differentiate based on their brand. So tonight, in the theme of sports, and it's quite hot under here, with the lights, but in the theme of sports, I'm repping a few of our Demandware brands. So we've got New Balance, we've got Adidas, we've got a few other global customers like Uniqlo. But so we work with 350 odd brands globally and some really great brands.
I was going to say that, it's interesting because, we get a little bit, we work with a portfolio of clients, but Demandware works two-thirds, I think arguably 2/3 of the world, of the top 20 sportswear brands in the world. And kind of what that gives, and I know because we work together, is an incredibly macro view on trends and demands. And I was kind of curious to know, what are you seeing? What's going on? Just to know, for you mentioned obviously Adidas or Adidas, depends on who you're talking to. 2XU, New Balance, etc. What trends are you seeing, particularly around commerce and?
Yeah, so one of the real benefits that we see from a platform point of view is that we have this richness of data. So because everyone's on the same version, we have 1,600 websites globally, turning over significant transactions, and we have the ability to look at that data on an anonymised basis, understand consumer trends, and share some of those consumer trends back with our customers, so brands. So the area of the business that I work in is all about growing and optimising those brands, those businesses. And we do that on a data-driven basis. So, for example, we have a thing called the Shopping Index. You can check it out on the website if you haven't seen it. But what that does is look at the purchasing habits and the shopper journey of 500 or 600 million consumers over the last quarter that have interacted with any of the sites that we search. So, from a digital point of view, you can see the trends. You can see what those consumers are doing. And one of the key trends that we're seeing around that is obviously mobile, and everyone's digitally savvy in the room, so you understand the trends around that. But what's really happening is that people are visiting more frequently in terms of properties, but they tend to spend a shorter amount of time in each of those visits. So Google historically has had this concept of micro moments, and we really see that in reality in many, many ways. So as brands, we all need to really engage very rapidly and capture that intent from a consumer perspective really quickly. So I'm standing at the bus stop, I'm looking at your website, you've got my attention for a minute, what are you saying to me and how do you capture that? So we see that as a really big trend. Yes, so significant area of movement, and part of my role, I look after the Asia-Pac region, so I get the opportunity to see what's happening in Japan and China, for example, and that's a very unique market in terms of that mobile penetration and that mobile usage. But if we think more to the Western brands, the US, Europe, there's some leaders there as well that tend to be very mobile first in their thinking. And are very experiential, so that nice linkage between what happens online, what happens in store, and bringing that together, be that geofencing, be that location, but a big trend towards personalisation as well. So again, what we see from the data, we see that consumers hop between devices, and they'll do that throughout the period of a day. So I'm on my mobile on the bus, I might jump on my computer while I'm at work, I'm back on the mobile, the tablet and couch mode. And what we're seeing, particularly in the last sort of 6 months, is a big uptick in terms of conversion and transactions in the evenings when everyone is in couch mode. They're in their Jimmy Jams, their Uggies, and they've got their tablet on their lap, and that is when people are converting. So they may be interacting throughout the day, making that purchase decision, making a refinement in terms of engaging with branded content, but when they're converting, they're doing that in the evening. We see a big trend towards this concept of distributed commerce. So that is, as brands and as consumers are entering a variety of other channels, transactions are following. So if you look at the likes of Instagram, we all know you can shop on Instagram via a variety of tools. You look at the likes of Pinterest and Twitter, so we have integrations with those properties that effectively, from a consumer perspective, I'm already in the mode that I'm interested in researching a product. And so we're removing friction. Literally, in Pinterest, I can hit buy, I've got all my details captured there, I've got my payment details captured, I'm not engaging with the branded site at all, but 2 days later I get a package at my door for what I ordered. So really we're seeing that the smarter brands and smarter businesses are moving to that distributed commerce framework, and they're going where the consumers are. Don't try and create a community and force people to come to your site or your store or your branded areas if they're already consuming in their own little niches of the web. Yeah, so personalisation means different things to different people. In one respect, the big changes over the past few years have been around machine learning, so big advances from the technology perspective that mean companies like us can have great tools that are readily available for brands to make that right product or content or promotion decision for that customer. So if the customer's there for a minute, give them the right offer straight away.
Machine learning, what does that actually mean in a practical sense? And whenever I hear kind of a word that gets thrown around, break it down from a commerce point of view.
Great question. We bought a team of data scientists from MIT, so I don't need to answer that question. So I don't know. No, so in all seriousness, so there's a variety of algorithms that effectively learn the more interactions and data that they get. So again, the power of the network and the data effect that we see across so many websites is that these algorithms get smarter with every single interaction. Every time someone does something on the site, every time someone adds something to their basket or checks out, it's getting smarter in terms of these sort of products go together. If a consumer does this action on the website and this clickstream journey, then this means something else. So really, talking big computational power to kind of make that happen. And as I say, in the last sort of few years, that's become its own science, really. And it's becoming very effective. So historically, that'd be a very expensive and a very complex product, whereas now it's relatively straightforward. So that's one aspect of personalisation. The other is around, particularly in the sporting arena, is around customised product and personalised products. So you see people like New Balance who in April announced that you can actually 3D print your own sneaker. So this is not just a concept in terms of your discussion around innovation. If you have $400 US, you can rock up to the New York store and you can print your own sneaker and walk out in an hour with a printed sneaker. So that is the uber personalisation and customisation. But there's a number of brands that are doing that quite effectively in-store and online insofar as choosing your colorways or customizing your product, monogramming, those kind of simple things. And we see the brands that do that see some good uplift in terms of things like conversion and engagement and repurchase because they're having that real affinity with the brand. They've designed it themselves.
So we know that big brands do these sorts of things, and today we're having a big brand conversation. But I was just contemplating the idea. Do you see a future where this can be brought, this level of personalisation can be brought down to smaller business? And in the context of what we're talking about today, I'm thinking about community team sports. I'm thinking about the fact that many people, their participation in sport is through community, where there isn't the money, there isn't the big brands. Do you see a kind of a future where we're designing our own kit top to tail?
Yeah, I think so. So, I mean, there's a variety of startups even in the market now where you can design your own bikini, for example, and do, if that's your thing, or your own handbag or your own shoes. And there's plenty of startups that don't have a significant amount of capital but are giving it a crack. And I think you could definitely apply that to the sporting arena where you could customise all the fit and features and naming and all those sort of things. So again, definitely leading brands in this area, there's definitely a trend towards that. So it's not just having a shop and being able to click buy now, it's telling a brand story, it's really communicating that customer journey, talking about that overall experience. And there's some really great experiential brands that are doing that really well online. So that comes back to telling a story between what's the origin of the product, what are the other use cases around it, and how do you do that. There's also practical examples. So again, within the footwear vertical, how do I find the best shoe for my running needs? So having guided selling tools are very effective. And we see that in store, the best sales experiences and the highest converting sales experiences when I've got a great sales associate and they can walk me through that purchase decision, talk me through the features and benefits or the selection criteria and say, this is the right product for you, James. So there's some great tools online now where in a content and commerce melded world, they're using tools and data to drive that to say, this is the right product for you.
So just finally, you've got access to this huge amount of data. We're going to talk about the multi-layers within sports in particular, but I want to talk about winners and losers. I heard the other day that Amazon is using predictive machine learning technology to actually pre-order what you might order even though you haven't ordered it yet and distribute it out to a fulfillment center, obviously happening in the US, distribute it out to a fulfillment center. So that very thing you don't even know you want to buy yet is actually already about 500 meters from your house, so it can happen there. That 3 zillion ton gorilla is on its way to Australia. What are you seeing in terms of trends of winners and losers?
Yeah, so the key point I think around that is going to be, so A, Amazon's been coming forever, so we'll see when they actually set up shop. But B, The way to differentiate around that is by brand differentiation. So it really is having that commerce and content. It's talking about the differentiated customer experience. It's really telling a story. What do you stand for as a business and a brand that Amazon cannot scale? So they can scale code beautifully. They can scale DCs nicely. They can't scale your brand essence. So that's what we see the brands and businesses are really differentiating on, and that's the opportunity.
Brilliant. I think, and we've got a hell of a lot to get through, and I think it'd be really interesting to start to open up the conversation with some of our other speakers. So I wanted to say thank you very much for our personal chat